Hold the air. I see the subject inside. Looks like he's got a gun in his hand, and he's pointing at the clerk. Guys, I've got the south covered behind you. Watch the crossfire. Running southbound, Rob. He's coming right at you.
All units, Victor 3, Victor 5 are fighting with 1. Hold the air.
Victor 3, slow down. Subject in custody. Firearm recovered.
Copy that. Command clear. Subject is in custody for the robbery. Firearms recovered.
Hey, guys, my man, welcome back to the Hold the Air Podcast Studio, man.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, our favorite time working at the police department, without question, was when we had a chance to share Violent Crime Initiative, the Violent Crime Team, without question, man. Because it's weird being retired, man, right? Yeah. It's weird. And so now kind of we live a little bit vicariously through the dogs behind us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you hit me up and you're like, man, VCI, that team that's going right now, they're running the right way.
Yeah.
And they just got all kinds of work in and this and that. And we should do a shout out for them. And I love you for it, man.
Yeah.
It's a great idea. Why don't you bring us up to speed? We're super pumped.
Yeah.
Tell us what happened of why we're so excited for what's going on.
Yeah. So if you're a regular subscriber to the Hold the Air Podcast, welcome back. If you're not, hit the subscribe button. Love to have you. So on this platform, Rob and I try to talk about law enforcement related stuff because it matters to us and it mattered to us for 25 years and it's always going to matter to us. So we both worked 25-year careers. Towards the end of our careers, we were able to get on the Capital Area Violent Crime Initiative, right? So this was a concept that was developed by Tommy Fabus and William Burns, I believe. Great concept. Basically, use resources to assist our detective bureau with violent incidences. That's how it started out. Then it evolved into, well, how can we be more effective and how can we prevent? So now we're identifying our most violent offenders in our community. We're coming up with a list of names. We're using best information. We're executing targeted surveillance. I mean, all kinds of stuff that allows us to get closer to the street and prevent the violent acts from happening. And a lot of that was gun seizures. So recently, the team that LPD has right now, joined with the Michigan State Police, absolutely just hit a ringer, bro.
Yeah, man.
So like 2 days they went out, they used all the resources that they could compile, and also the feds too. So the ATF was involved in this, and it's just a concentrated effort. You go out there, you spend 2 days following best information, going to the most problematic parts of the city, executing your techniques, bro. They went out the first day, I think an hour after lineup, and they had 5 guns on the table already.
Oh my goodness gracious.
And Rob and I get excited about
we do, man.
the idea.
We do.
Here's this gun in someone's pocket. Now you've emphasized this before on other podcasts, and I have to emphasize it now too. We're not talking about owning a gun legally, right? I absolutely promote the ownership of firearms for protection, for hunting, whatever you want to do, for collecting, whatever. But if you're an idiot and you do idiot stuff, you don't deserve to have a firearm because eventually someone's going to get hurt, worse, killed, right? So when we were able to get a gun and put it in a box, it felt like catching a big bass in the lake. Like you just felt like you accomplished something. So we would go out and we'd work and we'd get a traffic stop or we'd get a contact or we'd get a tip and we'd bring a gun back and we'd box it up. We'd go back out. These dudes went out right after lineup and hit a 5-piece.
Wow, man.
Like 5 people.
Come on, man.
5 guns. And obviously, we can't get into the details of this because this is all ongoing stuff.
Yeah, it's ongoing. Yep. For sure.
But as the day finished and the second day finished, they had some really, really gaudy numbers. I mean, it was 10. I think it was 10 guns. They executed 90 traffic stops. And the beautiful thing about this whole thing, and the one thing that you and I cared about a lot was do it right. We're not going out there screwing around with people. We're not going out there profiling nobody. We're not going out there abusing our authority. We're going out there and we're being aggressive because that's what the city deserves. when you're going after criminals, you got to go after them aggressively, but you have to be professional and you have to do your job the right way. And we always did. And when we retired, when our group retired, and we had a fabulous group of MSP people and LPD people, we never had, and I don't know the exact number, but we were in the hundreds of guns seized in that 3-year time frame. We never got one officer involved shooting.
Yeah, man.
Right? That's because we understood the value of our authority and how to use that the right way, and built some great cases and some great relationships with the feds. But yeah, so they went out and hit and we'll show it. We'll put the stats up somewhere during this episode. The sexy little picture of the MSP hood,
yeah, man,
and the items that were seized. It's a fun thing, and any young officer out there that really wants to taste what it means to really get involved with that kind of work, they need to look to get on teams like that.
You bet.
Yeah.
The side effect,
yeah,
right, of getting that type of work done when you're on a team like that, that's the equivalent of if you're on a dope team like a kilo of cocaine or meth or something like that, right?
Yeah.
It's the ultimate high five as a team.
Yeah.
Because the work that you put in paid off in such a huge measurable way, right?
Yep.
Like we can say 10 guns or this much drugs or this many felons or all these things that are important to track for the numbers and to keep stats and everything, but to come back and to double down on what you touched on a second ago, man, there is one stat that you cannot track because it's impossible, and that is what was prevented.
Yes. And
what they have prevented in 2 days worth of a home run and all these guns seized and we're talking off of people who are prohibited, and they're prohibited for a reason. We're not talking, I love what you said. We're not talking about the legal gun owner type scenario here. We're talking about people who are prohibited.
Yep.
They should not even be near a gun.
Right.
And here we are seizing off of them and compiling criminal cases and holding them accountable. But the side effect of that is, number one, the preventative aspect of that. We don't know. We can't measure. But man, I know you and I would like to think the trajectory of that has changed.
Yeah.
And if it's in an evidence box, it can't hurt anybody from there.
Absolutely.
Right. And the other side effect is, man, as a team, that is the glue that keeps you together, baby.
Yeah.
That is the glue that keeps you together. And when, I know without exception, the small teams that we've been a part of and associate with, and I'm sure this is like this in other jurisdictions besides just what we know, right?
Yeah.
When you're in a small team, your habits and your little idiosyncrasies and the things that you do, the little quirks that you have, all of those things melt away when your team is having success.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of those things don't matter anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so much good comes from just doing the work.
Yep.
Just get in the grind. And sometimes you're going to get the home run, like what we're high-fiving right now for these guys. And we're so proud of VCI for getting out there, from LPD and MSP. We love you guys for just going out there and just getting after it, man.
Yeah.
And if it's not a home run, keep doing it anyway.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah.
And you keep going and you keep going. And
a common goal. Like when you work
goal.
When you work on a small team, it's a common goal. We were talking before we started recording. We can remember way back when MSP would come into the city, there wasn't a good relationship between MSP and LPD. And I think it's like that for a lot of agencies, when the troops come in, they're trying to take it over. And we got past that.
Oh, that's a great point.
I'm not going to not mention John Fazio.
Yeah, man.
So when MSP first came to Lansing as secure city policing, which was a concept that was developed by Governor Snyder, 2012. Initially, it started off with 3 cities, and then it jumped to 11 cities. And basically, MSP was providing their resources to the cities in need with high crime rates to utilize their troopers in whatever way they could, whether it was traffic stops, whether it was the way we do things, working best information and going out there and developing cases, whatever it was, they provided these cities in need with it. we didn't have a relationship with MSP.
Right.
And when I was fortunate enough to work on the first violent crime team, and it was just LPD. And we didn't have success right away because we didn't have an identity. And then once we started to figure out how to do this thing, we did. And then the teams that followed had MSP integrated through the SCP philosophy or program. And the first sergeant to bring the little MSP Cubs to LPD was John Fascio. And he was Bear Bryant. He was Vince Lombardi. He was that guy that if you worked with him, if you were lacking in a certain area or needed improvement in this or you needed some correction, he just had a coach's way of figuring out how can I make my troopers work good with LPD and their officers. And once it clicked, they never looked back. Never looked back. And the guys that we have currently on this team, from top to bottom, do a phenomenal job, and the guys before. And what we're going to try to do is throw some photos into this podcast because we don't want to start naming folks and then forget a name.
Yeah, man.
Because those relationships were some of the best that I ever made in law enforcement. But yeah, the relationship stunk in the beginning, and now we work collaboratively. And unfortunately, right, this SCP program may be coming to an end. And I really hope, for whatever it means to anybody that's out there watching that's in the MSP world, we need MSP to be a part of this team. We need not only for the extra resources, but so that we can execute these high risk contacts the right way. Because if you don't have the right type of numbers when you're executing these things, situations can become a lot more volatile. And we're trained well. They're exceptionally trained.
They are, man.
So when we go and make contact and it's directed, it's targeted, it's a follow-up to a homicide or a shooting, and we have all these guys working together, anybody that has a little pull, talk to MSP, keep these guys here. I have a really good friend who's been with MSP for a long time. I will not say his name. Fabulous guy. If he happens to see this podcast, I'm kind of talking to you and others. Please don't leave the city of Lansing because we have a great working relationship, and the things that these guys did on their focused engagement efforts the last couple of days is pure proof. You bet. That it's a wonderful relationship, and hopefully we can keep it.
Dang right.
Yeah.
And anything that can be done to reduce violent crime in Lansing or any place, it's worth it.
Yeah.
It is 100% worth it.
This city, Rob, and I don't mean to interrupt you.
No,
but
please.
This city is getting it right. I really believe that, and it sounds like, oh, he's an alumni. Of course, he has that opinion. There are a lot of people that are addressing gun violence in this city the right way. You know, we have advanced peace, right? Mm-hmm. I think they do a phenomenal job. I think that the mayor understands working relationships. I think our chief understands the value of working relationships. I know MSP understands the value of working relationships. So we're not just going out there and taking people to jail. We're trying to do the preventative measure to avoid the retaliatory shooting, to improve relationships between those that we serve and the police department that's available to them, to make better relationships and get rid of the divisiveness that accomplishes nothing for nobody. Absolutely. So I really honor this city. My wife obviously owns a business in this city. I applaud the efforts that are being made by all the folks that I just mentioned and some that I didn't. And again, we'll try to throw some stuff into the podcast with some photos and stuff. But my hat's off to MSP and to LPD, and keep doing what you're doing. Execute, be safe. Yeah, it was fun. And I can't wait to see you guys see the photos and pics that we have.
You bet.
Yeah.
John Cosme, my pleasure as always, my man. Appreciate you, dude.
Yep. Appreciate you too.
VCI for life.
Yeah, man.
We love you guys. Keep in the grind. Keep after it. Last week, that's last week. What are you doing now?
Yeah.
Ready, set, VCI, VCI. Fire up, VCI. Make those guns fall from the sky.